Hey everybody, welcome to Elisa's Art Room. Today we're going to be starting my new journal, which is a classic Halloween junk journal. Y'all come in and say hi. We are currently live on Facebook if you see the little red button at the top left. If not, you're catching a replay either here or over on YouTube. Thank you for letting me know the sound is good, Dawn. I appreciate that. Hey Nancy. Hey Lori. We got a few people on. I'm going to get you guys pulled up to see chat. All right, so we're starting a new one, guys. Time for Halloween. I've got some fabric picked out. Got this purple, and I've got this ribbon. So we're going to talk about that, and we are using my Amazon packaging, and this is going to be the crinkly soft cover with a built-in pocket. That tends to be my basic journal. I like this one. I like the way it works, and I like the way it feels. Wow. I was watching myself on my phone, and I'm so far behind for a minute there. I thought it was a whole other video. It's like, did I pull up the wrong one? Oh, goodness. Anyway, so let me go ahead and get this camera pulled up so we can get started. We got sewing to do today and all that, so it takes a little bit. All right, 1 second. Okay. That's good. All right. So, for those who are new and watching, start out with a bag. So I start out with one of these or similar. It doesn't have to be this one. I actually usually prefer the M8 and just cut it down, but right now I'm down to mostly M2s. So for these, what I do is a little bit different. So I cut off the little pull tabby thing, which I've used these to close journals before, so I save them. And I'm going to show you just a little bit real quick here. Where's my... I did most of everything ahead of time. It saves a lot of time on my lives if I do. So for this one, I just start with the bag, because you're going to need 2 of these bags for a full-size one. If you're doing a 1 signature, you only need 1 bag. But for a 3 signature, you definitely need 2. So what I would do is I would take this, and you see how they're attached there? Now you could cut it on this one, I think, and be okay, but I usually don't, because I get more out of the bag. Let me see how big it is. If I could make it with it, not cut. It needs to be 7 inches that way and 9 inches. Yeah, you could on this one, if you don't have this tool or something similar to separate this like I typically do. I typically go in here between the 2 bags, and I just pull this along and I work it apart like this, and that separates them. But on this particular one, if you're using 2 bags, you don't have to do that. You could just cut that section off that's glued together, and still have enough to work with. But if you do have one of these, it's just a flat palette knife I've had for, gosh, easily 20, 30 years. It's a Liquitex one. But anyway, so do that. Just a section. And then you've got pieces like this. Okay, so you would have two pieces if you're doing two of them. And then you just cut out the size that you need. And in this case, it is 9 by 14 is what I need. And I go ahead and use this for a center line on it. But as you can see, there's plenty of room that you could have just cut off these sides that were glued together and still have plenty to work with. So you need two pieces that are 9 by 14 of your bag. Put that one away for later. It will get turned into one. So we have our two pieces. And these are cut to 9 by 14 inches tall and 14 inches wide. I don't have my long ruler right now, but and then I like to put the writing on the inside so I don't have to worry about it showing through my fabric. This particular fabric, it wouldn't show through anyway. It's very thick. But sometimes you're working with thinner fabrics and it will show through. You can gesso it and things like that, but just to save having to do that, just flip it inside out. You've got a clean part to work with, okay? And so I've got my two pieces and they've got a center point. And what I do is I go ahead and write all of the things on them so I know where everything is. So it works like this. It's going to be like this, folded in half, and it'll have two pieces stick together here, and then this will be a pocket. That'll be open for a pocket. You can also make the pockets on the top. Sometimes I do that. Not sure the last time I did that. I feel like it might have been on the Alice journal. It was either the Alice or the Ocean. I don't know. I don't remember. But there have been some I've done it on the top. It's fine. Pockets can go either on the top or on the side. It's up to you. So once I do that, I write everything on here. So, and I just use a chalk pencil. It doesn't show through anything that I've used. So here's what I write. So inside cover, and this is the left side, inside cover, right side. Okay, and then on the other side, you've got your front cover, your back cover. Okay, and then in here, this is our pocket and where our ribbon goes. So I write pocket bottom, pocket top, and then I just draw a line halfway for the ribbon. I put up arrows on everything so that I know the direction as I'm working and I don't get confused. And that's all I do there. Okay, so it just really helps you to, stay straight as to what you're doing. Then you need your two pieces of fabric, and I cut mine about 1/4 of an inch bigger than the bag. Okay, so you have approximately 1/4 of an inch on all sides bigger. Okay, so that makes this 14.5 by 9.5. Okay, and that's approximate. It depends on how much overlap you want. Less is better. You don't want too much overlap or it gets really soft on the edge and it won't lay right. So you need two pieces, and then you have to decide if you're going to do a pocket. You need one more piece. So on this one, I've already sewed this on because I didn't want to try to deal with that on a live. It's just more sewing, and you know how that goes. So I took that piece that I tore, okay, and this one is probably about 4.5. Let's see, 4.5. Okay, so 4 inches wide by 14.5 inches long, so the same as the other piece. And then I actually took this ribbon and I just folded the ribbon over the edge of the fabric because it just matches so perfectly. It even has sparkles too. And then I sewed, before I sewed this down, I sewed the ribbon on. First I glued it a little bit so it would stay in place. And I just glued it with some art glitter. So I glued it and I sewed it here and I sewed it here. Okay, and then I put it onto the fabric after sewing it. And then I sewed it here, 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 and down the middle. And then I glued, so this section that's the spine, I actually glued that down 1 inch on each side of the center, because it's just easier for that to be glued down when you're dealing with sewing in the signatures. Otherwise, you're trying to go through loose fabric here and here, and sometimes your needle just gets confused trying to go through all those loose pieces, including the bag. So it's a lot. So I find it's better to go ahead and just glue that down. So that's how I got this piece. So we've got purple and we've got orange. That's going to be our kind of sort of theme. And then you need 2 pieces of paper cardstock for the pockets. And I just picked this I just picked this orange cardstock, and that's going to go here and here. Okay, like this. And that's going to be our pocket so that you don't see the bag. It's not absolutely necessary, but I do like to cover it. It also kind of helps hold in the ribbon. So for this ribbon, for this one, I couldn't find a ribbon I liked, so I decided to use this piece of scarf. It's just a scarf I had, and it's a black scarf, but it's got like silver threads through it, and it's very rough. I actually cut it, but it frays like crazy, but it works fine. I've used it before for a closure, and it does work. And for Halloween, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. So that's what I'm using. And you need at least 36 inches to do it the way I do it, going through the whole thing. If you don't want to go through the whole thing, you could, start at like maybe the halfway point. I probably wouldn't lose any more than that, because it really does help it hold in by being all the way through. So that's why I do it so long. So there's that piece. So step 1, you want to glue in your ribbon and your cardstock. Okay, so you got your cardstock and a ribbon. And I've went ahead and marked my halfway point. I did not mark my center yet. I am going to do that real quick, because it just helps me to know where to stop for the spine so that I don't put anything in that area. Like the cardstock, that's why it's shorter, because I want it to be to the edge, but I don't want it into the spine, because that's just going to add another layer of thickness that we don't need to deal with. So I have a 2-inch spine. So I've already got the center because the way these bags are made. If you don't, just find the center. It should be exactly at 7. Okay, so put that at 7, and then mark a 1 inch on each side. That's how big my spine is. For a 3 signature journal, I find 2 inches works well. If you're doing a 1 signature journal, you don't need this part, because you're just going to have the 1 signature that's just going to go in the middle. So I want to know where this is on both the inside and the outside, because I'm going to glue the spine closed, so I don't want to go past that mark. I already have it there. Okay, I think that's enough because I'm going to be putting glue here just to close that up. And other than that, I don't need any more marks than that. I think that's fine. All right, so let's get our pocket on here and our ribbon. So like I said, I'm going to use this, and you just want to find the halfway point. So you know where the halfway point is, and just draw on it or whatever works for you. I'm just going to throw a little bit of chalk there. So I just fold it in half, because this particular, oh, that's not even half. This particular material does not mark very well. All right, so this is the half. Try that again. I can't. It's very flimsy. Where'd the other mark go? There it is. Let's erase that. All right, so it's here. See if I can get this white chalk to go on here. Where's my Taylor chalk? I'm going to try to use that. See if that'll show better. There. And I'm going to glue that down to the center. I'm just going to use Fabri-Tac. Ow. Are you poking yourself already? My needle fell out. Okay. So I'm not going to glue the edge too much because I'll be sewing it, and I don't want it to have to really deal with the Fabri-Tac too much. So I'm going to glue here. And find that center, if I can see it again. Where'd it go? There it is. Double check it. Yep, that's it. Okay. So I'm going to glue this. I'm going to spread it out as best I can, so it'll lay nice and flat under that pocket. I made one where I actually had sewed it, but it was too bulky. So I'm just going to use one that's just cut and not sewed. You want your ends to try to come out at the same spot so they're nice and centered. It's a little closer than I wanted there. Forget to give me rags. Got wet wipes. I usually grab a microfiber to keep for my hands. Hopefully these are coming out the same spot. Let's double check. See if it looks about the same. Yep, that's pretty good. See if I can get this one spread apart. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. All right, close enough. So there's our ribbon. And I'm just going to make sure this center is glued pretty good because, like I said, I don't want to have to deal with trying to get through the fabric if it's not laying down, because it doesn't work. The more things that you have that are not flat when you're gluing your signature or sewing your signatures in, the more of a pain it will be. So anything like lace or other embellishments, a lot of times it's better to add them last. All right, there. That should be good enough. I like the colors too, Dawn. They're very bright, not my normal look, but I do like them. So we're going to glue this pocket down. And I'm going to glue it to where it's somewhat close to the edge, just a fraction inside, like maybe a 16th. There's a string there. That silver thread gets, it kind of starts coming out sometimes. So, Fabri-Tac, you're gonna lay flat for me. Just want it to lay as flat as I can get it. Normally you're not dealing with a piece like this, maybe unless you were dealing with maybe sari silk, it might do that too. Alright, so I don't think I want to use the Fabri-Tac. I'm going to use the art glitter. It's going to be faster. And I think I'm going to put it on my card because I don't want to get glue everywhere I don't need it. Is it going to come out? I don't use this one with the wider tip very often, except when I have a large surface to cover, then I'll use it. I am going to glue this up to the edge, I think. Sometimes I don't because sewing through it can be a little temperamental, but I'm just going to smooth it a little bit there. Hopefully that will be okay. And then I want that to go here. So let me get that as flat as I can. And just center it. It doesn't go quite all the way to the end, and that's fine, because that'll be also sewed closed anyway. I don't really worry too much if my glue goes through this. It's an inside pocket. You really don't see it very much. Just, you know, it's there when you're inserting things into the pocket. Okay. And then, so don't make the mistake of thinking that other pocket is here. It's not. That's why it helps to have it written down ahead of time so you don't get confused. But it's actually here. Okay. So we want to put that pocket there. Okay, so this goes here. Okay, so that's the lining for our pocket. So that will be like this. Okay, and you'll just see that little bit. Boy, that cardstock comes off easy, doesn't it? Orange cardstock all over my fingers. Okay, so now we have our pocket lined and we have our ribbon on. And you want to make sure your ribbon should be on the back piece, okay, where the back cover is, and it should be on the front piece where the front cover is, okay. If it's not, you need to fix that before you go further, because it has to pull from the right spot. You want it pulling the back and the front. I've made the mistake of putting it on this part, and then it'll try to separate it. And you don't want that to happen, especially on the pocket side. If you get it on this side, on the pocket side, you get all kinds of problems. So just be careful. But It's not too bad, honestly. All right, so now we've got that, and we need to get our fabric down. But you want to keep these two pieces separate for now, so you don't want glued on this side to this side, because I don't use that side for anything, so I just go ahead and glue it just kind of light. I don't really do it super hard, but I just glue it so it'll stay in place. But that's not until I am ready to sew all the way around. And right now we're just going to sew this piece and this piece for our pocket, because we won't be able to sew this after we put it together, because this will be closed and this will be closed, and there'll be no way to get in there with your sewing machine. So you have to remember to do these two pieces first. Okay, so we're going to grab our fabric and we're going to put it down to where it's on the surface. So inside right cover, inside left cover. So that'll be this piece. Okay. And then we have the front and the back cover, and that'll be this piece. Okay, so we got to go ahead and attach those. We'll start with this one. I'm going to start in the middle so I can glue that down. I've decided it's easier just to go ahead and glue it before I sew it. It stays in place better, and it doesn't tend to bunch up near as much as if I don't sew it and I just clip it or pin it. So I'm going to glue this because I don't want it moving around. And I'm going to do this part first so that I can kind of line it up. I'm not putting the glue all the way to the edge. My first stitch isn't that high anyway, and I don't want to deal with going through the Fabri-Tac when I'm sewing. So stay a good ½ inch away. So I'm going to try to line this up, and then I'm going to flip it over and see if it's centered. So just center it as best you can. That looks pretty good. Go ahead and close that down. Okay, so this is inside right cover. We're still good. And I double check myself as I'm going. It just makes life easier. Just keep checking yourself, make sure you're doing it right. So I've got that center glued, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this not all the way to the edge. And this is where the arrows are coming in handy. I can make sure that my pocket's the right direction, and I haven't put my pocket up here and upside down. Okay, so watch your arrows. And it really comes into play when you're using a fabric that's, you know, it's a directional fabric. Right now, this fabric isn't directional. The only thing I have to really worry about on this is the pocket. So I'm staying out about ½ inch. And I think I'm gonna smooth this, although it does not show through this particular fabric, it seems. Did I even, hold on, let me see if I can grab them. I left my little spatula thingies over there. It dries so fast. I might put more down. It only has to hold enough for keeping it in place for sewing. It's not as big of a deal as the center. I don't really mind if this part's loose. It doesn't really affect anything per se. Not too much anyway. Your cover can wiggle around, I guess, but usually that's not a big deal. I'm just going to make sure that that's nice and smoothed out. Some chalk there. Okay. I'll do this side. I'll do it this way. I have gotten faster at these. I've been doing them for a while. Which is the nice thing about doing one that you do the same style all the time, is you definitely get faster. And that's always a good thing. Still looking good. I just want to make sure everything is glued decent so that it's not going to buckle too much. And by buckling, I mean as you're sewing this fabric and you start up here, as you're getting down to this end, sometimes if you've already closed off the other side, this will just start bunching up on you. Did I freeze just there? So as you are sewing and you've already closed off this side, when you're sewing, sometimes it'll just start trying to buckle. So that's why having it glued nicely does help some. All right, so our next piece, so make sure we're on the right side. Like I said, this is non-directional, so it doesn't really matter. But we've got our front and back covers. And it's going to go here. And I'm just going to start in the middle here and kind of get this started. I didn't mark the center of this, but because I do have that line with the bag, I can kind of tell where it is. At least enough to get this down. Just move that a little bit. Let's see if I can get this in the right spot and flip it over. Not too bad. Teeny bit to the left. Fabri-Tac gives you a minute to play with, usually. There. Okay. Back over. I prefer to glue on the packaging as to the fabric. It's just easier to smooth it and everything. Don't glue directly on your fabric. One, it'll sometimes go through, and two, it's just easier to smooth it. Probably need to order some more of this. I refilled this bottle as best I could. It goes fast when you're doing covers. Just make sure it's still laying right. Looks good. Do the other side. And as you're doing it, just, make sure your ribbon's staying where it's supposed to. Come on, air bubble. Much easier to squeeze if it's all the way up. Tendinitis has been really bad lately. Squeezing these bottles is not easy. Sugar Bell is a lot easier than the Fabri-Tac bottle, but it's still hard. All right. So, front and back covers. And we're going to be sewing the pocket sides. Okay, this is how it goes together, like so. So right now we just got to sew this side and this side for the pocket to attach it down. Go ahead and put this glue up. Hey Deborah, happy Labor Day. Hubby's working. So much for Labor Day. In his business, you don't really get a lot of holidays. Weekends, holidays, all the same. He's taking out Dragon Con, which is a sci-fi convention here in Georgia, for those who don't know. Okay, so let me get the sewing machine. So I got to pull all this stuff in my way off so I can get the sewing machine over here. I've already had it plugged in. Hopefully it will pull over there easy. I cleaned off my desk a lot so that I wouldn't snag on everything. All right, that was the foot. Nothing big. Okay. So we got our sewing machine. And this is one of those situations where you can't see a lot. I do it on camera so you can kind of see. Just trying to see what's going to show here. So yeah, you really can't see the actual sewing part, but I try to explain a lot as I go. I have tried to set up my camera in a different manner, but it's just too complicated to move it during the live. All right, so remember, we're just sewing the pockets. So anywhere you have your cover for your pocket, that's the edge you're going to want to sew. And you want to sew it so that you're catching some of that cardboard. And in order to do that, you need to know, because if you want to sew on this side and make the pretty part of the thread on this side, you need to know where it stops. And I've found using some chalk, I was using my chalk pencil, but I had some of this Taylor chalk and I was like, why aren't I using that? Because that would be so much easier. So I'm using my Taylor chalk. So I just fold it over and just put a little line there. So I'm just pushing it to where the packaging is. And this will just wipe off later. And that way, when I'm sewing, I know to stay just to the inside of that so that I catch that little piece of cardboard there. Same thing on this one. Just remember, you got to watch for the ribbon. So I'm just going to mark that edge. All right. And I forgot which way. Doesn't really matter. All right, so get your thread ready. I'm just using a straight stitch, a running stitch. And we're just going to sew just down through here, but keep your ribbon straight. And if you want, you can go through it twice. I'm not sure it's really necessary. I may not, because it goes through the whole thing. It's not moving. It's just not. so I'll probably just go once. But you do have to keep it in the right spot. So I'm going to stay about maybe 1/8 of an inch in from that line. And that should guarantee I catch that little bit of cardboard. I did lock it there just a little bit to lock the stitch. Sometimes doesn't like going through all of this, but it manages. If your tension is off on your bobbin, it can affect it. We found that out the hard way last time. So if that happens, just adjust your tension and try to fix it. So, and then that way, I'm just catching the edge of that, so I got pretty close. But I did catch it, and my ribbon's still where it's supposed to be. So you just want to sew that edge. And then we're going to jump over to the other piece and sew the edge of that. There's no ribbon on this side. You do have to watch this part though and make sure it stays flat. And I just do a little back stitch there. Okay, I caught all of it, so that's good. And then you can just wipe off that chalk. I can go ahead and wipe it off here. I am going to put more chalk on the other edges though, so that the same thing applies. I want to make sure I catch them all. But you can just use like a piece of cloth or something and a spray bottle and just, you know, wet it down a little bit. And the chalk will just wipe right off. Okay. Take that chalk off. All right. So now we've got our two pieces. So we've got a pocket there. That's the bottom. This is the top. Got those two that go like that. All right, and they're nice and secured now. So now we have to put it together and sew around the other edges, but not this edge. Okay, and let's make sure everything looks good. I am going to go ahead and glue this side down because we don't really need it at this point, and it will help everything to kind of stay in the right spot. So just want to make sure that you have it completely matched up with your center. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to glue that center down. My glue go. And this side that I wrote glue down on. Yeah. This side, I might do a little bit. I'm going to do it a little bit on that side too, because that's where it has to sew through for the signatures, and I want to make sure it's got a little bit there. I'm not going to stress about wiping this because it's not going to show. And then this part, we're just going to glue this a little bit. It's mostly just to kind of hold it in place. If you were putting another pocket or something, you wouldn't want to do this, but I'm not putting another pocket over there. So I'm going to match, good job. I'm going to match up these two centers. And it should line up everywhere else, but we'll double check and see if it looks like it is. Okay, looks like it is there. Looks like it is here. Yep. Okay. And that'll help keep it from moving around too much while we're sewing too. So the pockets are still open. Where'd my pen go? There, oh wow. Keep throwing this thing everywhere. Okay, so right now I want to put clips on here, and that's going to help remind me that I do not want to sew this area where the pocket is. So just make sure you kind of clip that off. I just clip it a lot so that it kind of reminds me to stop. Like, no, don't sew there. And if this gets in your way, you can just clip that so it's not bugging you while you're sewing. Hopefully it will stay out of my way. And I'm going to be putting the foot there, so I'm not going to go too much. I'm just kind of making sure that my packaging is matching up on all the sides. It looks like it's matching pretty darn good, so I am good with that. And then I'm going to mark, I'm going to be sewing this on the outside because I'd rather the stitching be good on the cover. And I'm going to go ahead and mark that before I put those clips on there. So I'm just going to mark this so I know where to stay. Don't sew over this mark. You want to sew inside it. You know, like 1/8 of an inch inside it. After you're done with your first sew around, if you want to remove the mark and go back around again, you can do that and sew it better. All the way closer to the edge if you want. I usually just let it fringe, but it could be done. Okay, and this one. I'm doing this because I can't see that packaging when I'm sewing. You can feel it and kind of stay inside by feeling it, but it's easier, so much easier. All right, so I'm gonna start on one side or the other, whichever one you're sewing on. Because this is the front cover and the back cover, I'm gonna start here and go around and stop here. Okay. Was that on camera? Okay, just barely. So I don't want to continue to here. You can just make sure your clips tell you. I am going to put a few clips around just to kind of, it shouldn't move too much because it is glued for the most part, but just in case. Only half of it's glued technically. So I'm going to put a few of these and I'll remove as I go. And just remember when you get to your ribbon on this side that you want to make sure that you keep it straight. Don't sew it to the journal. I haven't done it yet, but you know, there's always a first time. I would be the one to do it. It's probably more than I need. I used to put a little sticky note here that says stop, but honestly, I've kind of just figured it out and gotten better at it. But if you're worried about not stopping and continuing around, just put yourself a sticky note there that says stop here, so you don't sew it closed. Definitely don't want to sew it closed. I'm just gonna, I think I can get that in there. All right, so I'm gonna start here. And remember to do a lock stitch, a little backwards reverse stitch. I'm staying about 1/8 of an inch inside that chalk line I just drew. That's not the reverse button. My whole reverse button on my sewing machine was on the outside over there, and this one is in the front, which I don't like. I don't know why. For me, it seemed more logical on the outside. I don't know. Struggling a little bit going through this. It always does. Every time. My tripod's getting in the way again. A lot of things to contend with. All right, so when you get to the corner, make sure your needle is down and lift your foot and spin it and drop your foot again. Keep your ribbon out where you can see it. I'm trying to keep it from bunching. I'm making 2 of these, and I don't know why. I just kind of, I thought, why not? I've had people say, you know, they would love to purchase one of my journals, but they just can't afford the usual $150, $165 that they cost. So I'm going to do one with just one signature, and I'm thinking I'll charge probably $75 for it. It'll be basically the same, except smaller, basically, in the sense of it'll only, so, you know, it won't have as many interactive features as the larger one, but I'll still try to include some. We're almost to the end. Just catching those. And then just remember to stop. Reverse stitch, and we are good. And just pull off your loose threads. Some people leave them. I usually clean them up. All right, let me get this sewing machine out of my way. I think I'm good. I don't think I'm going to sew around that twice. A lot of times I'll glue this edge anyway. I don't think I'm going to sew it. My sewing machine is just honestly too hard to fight with, so. Put my foot down and flip her off and get that out of the way. I can figure out I'm getting stuck on my microphone. Okay. I think I got it. All right. So now we have our cover with our closure. We have a spine, and it's a soft spine, so it'll work itself out to be the distance that it needs to be for the signatures, which is usually about 2 inches. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this chalk line before I forget. Okay, so that is how it's going to look. And then it's got a pocket here and a pocket here, and it has a side pocket here. Okay, and then the tie, we'll just tie here like this. And I've got plenty of extra. All right. Is that. So this one is for 3 signatures. Got a little piece of chalk right here. I had marked the center. Take that off for now. All right. And then, so this is my 3 signature one. And then I have a 1 signature one that I went ahead and did so that it was ready. So this is a 1 signature one. Same thing. Except it's not as, tying it in a knot, it's not as wide. You can see how much smaller it is. Okay. Okay, and that's because we don't have that 2 inches for the center. You just have basically what you have, which is basically 6 inches on each side, and then, you know, the signature will sit in the middle. Still got a pocket. It's a little tiny bit shorter than that one. Pocket here, and it still kept a pocket on the side. Okay, so it'll be almost the same, except 1 signature for this one. It'll be like this, and then this is the 3 signature one. The bee journal, I think I had marked it down to like 150 maybe. I didn't sell it, right? I can't keep up with what I've sold and what I haven't sold, guys. Let me see real quick. I put a little sticker on it, usually. Bee journal. Where are you hiding? There you are. I was going to do like... Alright, I marked it down to 145. Typically, this is a $165 journal. But honestly, I need to sell some stuff. So I did mark this one down. It's 145. 120 pages, 3 signatures, writing board, and the pockets, and a charmed angle. Okay, so that's a steal on this, honestly. I can't go any lower than that. I still make a little profit. It's not a lot of profit, guys. Especially, gosh, don't even think about considering my time. So that's still there. It's probably on my website, which is lisasartroom.com. But you can go over there and look and see if it's there. I assume it's there. If it is, you can just pay for it if you want it. But I wanted to give you guys, you know, something a little less expensive, because I know how it is. Trust me, I know how it is. I'm on a budget right now that's insane. Just trying to make ends meet. So I do understand. So this one will be, I'm thinking 75, but we'll see how much time it takes me. I might go as low as 50 on it. Okay, 50 would be approximately 1/3 of this. So if it doesn't take me too long, I can go as low as 50, but I was thinking more like 75 because I still have the cover on both and all that, and so that time. But we shall see. But that's what I'm thinking. If you want to reserve it for yourself and go ahead and pay me for it, then let me know and I'll give you a price. And I'll just try to stick to it, which I can do. I can kind of, work with the amount of time I spend on something. All right, so that is going to be it. I've got a little design for this, a little decorative thing I made, which I think I'm going to use. I wasn't sure what to do with it because I couldn't find hardly anything that I thought would embellish the front nicely. I did find these spiders from last year. Probably got them at Dollar Tree. They're little like wood spiders. And so what I did is I took this little wood spider, and I'm just going to include him somewhere on here. And there's a possibility I might add some lace. I do have some black lace. If I do, I don't think do I have it handy? Yeah, maybe. Let me see if I have it in this drawer. I try to keep everything where I can find it, but I think I have it in here. Yeah, there it is. So I have this, it's a table runner from Dollar Tree, but it's a spiderweb table runner. I'll try to get it where you can kind of see it. So I have this, and I'm debating on putting it on the edge here. And just have it come around to the back. It'll only be scalloped on one side because the scallop runs the wrong way. So I could have it scalloped on the front like that. And then a little bit of a spiderweb design. But I think if I do it, I will probably put it over the stitching and not try to sew through it. So it would be like a last step. But I'm thinking about doing that. Definitely going to put the little spider on here. And I'll have to decide about the lace, but I do have that. I have a decent amount of it, so. Let's see. I made a spider. I'm going to show you the little spider I made. So what I did is I took the little black wooden spider. I'll be removing that little felt piece. And I put some orange stickles and then some glitter. Okay, so what I did is I've got these. It's not really stickles, but it's similar. It's called Scribbles Pop. It's a fabric paint, but I have some very, very fine glitter. Let me see if I can grab it. Yeah, there it is. So fine glitter. This one's already dry, so I went ahead and did one so it would be dry so I could go ahead and put it on there. Don't really need this foam piece. If I put foam, I'll probably put a different piece of foam. This actually kind of shows on the edges a little bit, but I'll probably just glue it straight down so I can get all the little legs and stuff. So I took this stickles type stuff, fabric paint. Let's see if it's flowing nicely. Okay, and I just made a little circle of paint as best I could. Try not to bubbles. Okay, so a little circle and 2 beady little eyes. I know they have 8 eyes, but he has 2 beady little eyes. All right. And then some of this glitter. Just a little bit of glitter. Come on. I'm trying to be controlled, but it's just not coming out. All right, so a little bit of glitter. I'll let it dry. Okay, so looks like that one's wet. We'll let it dry. Let me set it over here somewhere safe. And then we get this, and it seemed like it separated and kind of moved out to the edges a little bit, the glitter. Not sure if it'll do that again, but it did. And then I thought I'd just stick it somewhere. I think maybe this top corner where that spider web is. I think it looks good. I think it'll be cute. And I'm just going to put it on there with, I have Fabri-Tac, which works on wood. If you have Fabri-Fix, Fabri-Fix does not work on wood. Okay? Beacon 3-in-1 does not work on wood. So make sure if you're going wood to fabric that you have Fabri-Tac. Okay? And they've got their little cheat sheet on their website that tells you what all the glues do and what they work on the Beacon website. All right, so we're going to put some glue on this. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it on here. Make sure I'm in the right direction and everything, but I am. See if I can hold on to it. I think it'll be cute. I think I really want the lace on there. I'm 90% sure that's what I will do. But I think it'll be best if I do it after I sew the signatures in. So I don't have to fight with going through those little tiny holes when I'm sewing. And it'll honestly be difficult to see the holes. So I'm going to do that. All right, so we'll put this guy in this little spider web. So, what'd you say? Kim says, if I still have it after the first of the year, I will try to I have to see how finances go. Okay. You never know. I didn't sell my Paris one for a whole year. So, you never know. Honestly, I'm surprised it hasn't sold yet, the B one. It's a really cute journal. And what tends to happen is a lot of people will buy them around the holidays to give as gifts. So I can't guarantee it will last. But you never know. Maybe I'll do another one next year. If y'all liked it. I'm trying to get that glue off. Came over the top a little bit there. It'll be easier once it dries to rub it off. But that'll look cute, right? I think it'll look cute. Particularly with that lace on there, I think it'll look cute. What do y'all think? You like that? A little bit of lace. Spider. A little spider. So, that's what I'm leaning toward. Okay. Well, that is our 2 journals started. Didn't take that bad. I did good. I'm getting faster, guys. I actually got a decent amount done. I'll show you the papers I got. They came in. I'm a little disappointed with one, but not because the paper itself is bad. It's because the design layout isn't thought through. Okay, so I will be doing my main journal on camera the most. If I have time, sometimes I might do some of this one too, but I will probably this one during the lives as to what I completed off camera. Sorry, it froze there. As to what I completed off camera. Okay, so let me show you the papers that came in. If I can find them. Right there. So I ended up going to Michael's because they had some 30 and 40% off Halloween stuff. Where is it at? So the thing I ordered, I've got some stuff I had and then some stuff I ordered. But I'll show you what I have basically for making the papers. Okay, so this is one I had last year. And I think for making the signature pages, I will probably use, if I have any of that purple. Let's see, do I have any left? I may not, because it was a popular piece. I may not have any of that left. I might use that. It would be okay for a signature page. It would be this on one half and this on the other half. I could see that working. I like that it's purple. And then I might use, oh, there's one. Okay, good. I did have one. So I had one spider web left, which I'll use, and I might use that as well. So I've got a few in there I can use for the signatures. And then this was a free gift, I think, from scrapbook.com at one point or another. So I have this. It's real cute. It's double-sided. But it's very cute, spooky. And then this is the one I ordered. It's Echo Park, which I like Echo Park. The only thing I don't like about it is you really need two. And their paper's not cheap. It's like $15 a pad. Because the way it's designed, because it's double-sided, one nice thing, they give you a sticker sheet. And it is a nice pre-cut out sticker sheet, and the stickers aren't thin. They're a decent thickness. So that's nice. I like that. They give you cards, journaling cards, tags, things like that, that are designed. The problem is they put the designs on the back and they're not anywhere else. So I have to decide, you know, like this piece, for instance, it couldn't be a signature page. I couldn't use this as a signature page because it has the cards on the other side. And if I used it as a signature page, you know, I would have these two cards on either side and then the design I want on one side. And I don't like that. I originally saw this pattern and I was like, I really want that for a signature page. But I can't use it as a signature page unless I buy two of them and deal with covering this or something. So it doesn't really work. So I will use them as journaling cards on these particular ones that have the cards. And they've got several of them that have cards. So these, they're really not going to do me much good unless I sacrifice these cards. You see what I'm saying? And because there's like four of them, all of those patterns basically went away. Oh, there's five. There's five of them. So all those patterns went away. So all you have left for pages are these. And it's not terrible, but I would have liked more. Because I do have 3 signatures and now technically a 4th. And I get one, you know, one signature page out of this. Technically it's 4 pages, but you know. So these are the ones that I have left out of the set to use as pages. And they're nice. Don't get me wrong. It's not that they're not nice. It's just that I really wanted the potion one. And I really wanted the spiderweb one. And both of the spiderweb ones and the potion one is on the back of a card. And it's like, oh. And even as a background for the journaling card, it doesn't really work. Because you can't really write on that. I'd have to put something over the top of it to write on it, which is probably what I'll end up doing, is putting a maybe slightly smaller piece of lined paper over the top of it. But so that's my thought process with their paper. It's nice paper, but it does have, in my opinion, a design flaw. So there's that. But then I found this at Michael's. So it's normally $14.99. With their sale right now, it was $9.99. It's 20 pages of vellum, which is really cool. So it's vellum pages. So they're see-through. This one I'll note I'll use because the words are on too. I could use it maybe for a center page or something, I guess, but I probably won't use it. I'll probably just use pieces of it, maybe for pockets or something, and not use the words. But it's got this cute little spider web design. It's got this damask with a little skull. It's not super creepy. I know it's a little more scary maybe than the other one, but not so bad. It's still classic, what I would consider classic. And then some witches on brooms flying, some ghosts. But I do like the vellum for just a accent page in the journal. I think that they can be fun. It adds a little texture. And they do have a spider web. So I've got a couple of spider webs and these. So I'll have to pick and choose, what journal gets what. And then they had a couple of, but they could be used to decorate a page as a pocket or something. And there's quite a few of those. And then this pretty green sky almost. All right, so that's what I got. That's what I'm going to be working with for the most part. I'm sure I'll throw Tim Holtz and other things in there, because I always do. But I'm not going to go super creepy or anything. I'm going to try to stay very classic, traditional Halloween and not too scary. Okay. But I'll get those signature pages together on our next live, and we'll start figuring out, what's in each signature and all that. All right, so that is our live. That's all I have. I see Bonnie just jumped on. Did you just come in, Bonnie? We're finishing up. You'll have to watch the replay. Yeah, she just came in. All right. So I will be back on Wednesday, and we'll work on the signature pages and go from there. Okay? Y'all have a wonderful rest of your Labor Day, and I'll see you next time. Take care. All right. Bye-bye. Oh, you forgot what day it was? Oh, I'm sorry, hon. That's all right. You can catch the replay. We did 2. We had a 1 signature and a 3 signature. So, well, technically we didn't do that one on camera. All right. Take care, guys. Bye.